I need a microphone. Turn this light on and not look at it when I do that.
And I'm short over here.
And build a Franken sled.
Oh God.
All right, Rich, time to talk 2022 model year snowmobiles. Now, you've got more experience with Polaris stuff. I got a little bit more with Yamaha stuff. But I'm curious to know about Polaris stuff. So what was sort of hot for you there?
There's a couple of standouts I found, Jeff, was definitely the new XCR for the guys who want to go on the trail, and also the Boost. The 850 Boost was a handful for someone like me. It was a little bit overboard. You can get up the hill real quick, which was nice because the boost happens right away. Unlike some
altitude
of the
level, right? It's starting to build boost.
It builds right away. So unlike some of the other manufacturers that have boost that operates up top, when you start, this one starts down low.
Because I know, like, you and I are not, again, we're not the mountain guys, but we've got members of the crew are. Swarmy, Scallett, Jordan, you know, those guys know how to hustle in the mountains, and I think they were pretty impressed with it.
The problem we had with the Boost with those two, especially Swarmy, was kicking them off the sled. No one could catch up to them to say, hey, stop, having fun, come back down to reality and ride with the rest of us.
So the Boost was obviously a big hit, but I mean, for us Flatlanders, I was really interested in the XCR. It's now in the Matrix chassis. And all the goodness that brings, so it must be a pretty good sled right now.
Handled like nothing else. It was just precision, and everywhere you wanted to go, you just point those skis and it would take you there.
Yeah.
I really liked the big bumps. It would just soak up everything you can throw at it, especially for flatland riding. If you want to run ditch lines at 100 miles an hour, you can run ditch lines at 100 miles an hour. Whatever you want to do with this snowmobile, it is ready and waiting for you.
And speaking of precision stuff, I mean, I got a little bit more time on the Yamaha product than you do, and I want to talk about EPS, electronic power steering. My thoughts on the EPS was that, you know, at slow speeds, the assist that it gives you is quite a bit. You notice it right away when you're going slow, especially with the bigger models like the LTX GT, that type of thing.
Sure, they're heavier SRX.
Yeah, and
the SRX is missing it.
The SRX doesn't have it, but the GT has it. You know, those bigger sleds, I think, definitely benefit from it. At slow speeds, you can really feel the assist helping you steer the machine. But what's interesting is that it does kind of pull back on its assist as the speed goes up. So at no time did I ever feel the bars go numb in my hands.
Right, gives you enough rider feedback that you understand what's going on.
Did you find that with the Thundercat too? Again, the Thundercat and SRX have sort of moved apart a little bit, but what was your experience?
I thought the Thundercat was definitely Arctic Cat's best sled they've had. The best sled they have coming into the new season. Also, it's the best Thundercat they've ever produced. I mean, the 1.25" track gives you just enough traction. When you give it some fuel coming out of the corner, it goes.
Yeah.
Which is nice. It doesn't spin the track. It will spin the track, but not as much as the SRX coming out of the corners. And I also felt that coming in at high speeds in the corners, because it's hard not to go high speed with the Thundercat, it would just carve around the corners.
It still had good balance.
Very planted, Not a lot of body roll. It knew what it had to do, and it did it at a good rate of speed.
And I mean, both those sleds have got improvements with the secondary clutch, some mechanical improvements there with the new clutch. But the SRX really didn't see a lot of improvements other than the clutch, except for now it's in a pretty spicy red and white. It's interesting.
The retro look.
The retro look, the Yamaha racing look. And I like it. Kind of don't like it. I still am a blue Yamaha guy, but the red and white really does look sharp on the snow. It's people will not question what you're riding when you pull up on that SRX.
Well, that's the iconic SRX flagship from back in the 70s.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
That's the color scheme.
It's going old school.
Yeah.
I wonder when they're going to do a yellow one, but I think there's a rule against that. Yellow and black, it would look pretty good too. But yeah, the SRX still has the 1-inch track. It did not evolve the way that the Thundercat did. So those models are definitely not the same or as close as they once were. You know, Skidoo's also got some new stuff coming to the party. There's a Moxie and the Smart Shock. So any thoughts on those two innovations?
Oh, I thought the Moxie was a great sled, handled well. It has a better throttle than the standard Ace. 900 Ace. The Smart Shock system makes all the difference in the world. For a high-end snowmobile, a lot of guys that are buying high-end snowmobiles, Jeff, don't want to be. They're not tuners. They don't claim to be tuners. They don't want to be a tuner. They just want a snowmobile to go the way it's supposed to have a box.
And that's the great thing about the IQS system that Yamaha and Arctic Cat are using too. It's three settings. soft, medium, and firm. It's easy to understand as a rider, as an enthusiast. You don't have to be a suspension guru, and you can get the most out of your sled quickly.
Well, the Smart Shock system's even easier than that.
Yeah,
it does it automatically.
And of course, we've got another manufacturer in North America now, the Lynx, which is a pretty cool buggy in and of itself for both flatland and boondock guys. So there's a lot of good stuff coming for 2022.
The Lynx, there's a lot of hype and excitement at Snowshoot, and it didn't disappoint. It worked real well. For the guys who want to go blazing through the woods, unmarked trails, it works awesome. It's amazing. Even on the trails, I thought the skis were probably the best skis on any production snowmobile for trail riding.
That's interesting. To wrap up things for 2022, any other further thoughts on something that really blew you away?
Well, I really like the new technology. I'm not the tech savvy guy, some of the young kids out there, but the new screens like the 7S on the Polaris, it is just a beautiful thing. Keep you out of trouble all day long, gives you all the information, you're plugged in, so when you're playing hooky, driving, you can take phone calls, no problem, text message, everything's there. You can see exactly where you are in a trail system. And better yet, you can see if other people have the same technology, you can see them.
Follow one another, and you can send it to your friends. Say, look where I went today. I mean, it's all good stuff. And for me, technology, again, is the EPS with Yamaha. Of course, it goes back to the days of the Apex was the last time we saw power steering on a snowmobile. And there's, Apex guys that are still riding Apexes because they would not give up that power steering option. Now, we will know about things like new technology when we go to Snowshoot this coming spring. And coming up a little bit later on in the show, I got a story about West Yellowstone, which is where Snowshoot takes place. So stick around for that because it's coming up later in the show.